AEW Double or Nothing, May 23rd, 2020. So first complaint, I spent 8 minutes trying to order this on Fight TV, only to realize I'm in the U.S. I need to order on the Bleacher Report thing. So I missed the first 8 minutes of the show.
Well, that's your fault, dude. How's that a nitpick?
Because they didn't make that clear when I watch Dynamite every single week and have for months now.
Oh, okay, well.
I think that's a fair complaint.
I'll take that. Well, I mean, I had a big complaint last time because my big complaint was you could order it on BR Live, but the replay doesn't show up for 12 to 24 hours.
I remember that now, yes.
Dude, replays need to be immediate. I don't know how it is because I watched it live here, but, you know, there's people all over Twitter raving about the show. And imagine being on Twitter and feeling like you missed out and realizing that you did miss out because you can't even get the replay for 24 hours. Hopefully they got that handled.
So what I saw was Chris Daniels saying that a win for either Scorpio Sky or Frankie Kazarian in the Casino Ladder match would be a win for SCU. And the best friends and Orange Cassidy were saying if Orange wins, then they'll all be champions. And Orange wanted to practice setting up a ladder. And the news here is that I believe for the first time on AEW television, Orange Cassidy spoke.
He did. He cut a promo.
I don't even know how to go that far, but he's capable of speech.
He spoke. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
So the Casino Ladder match, they actually changed up the rules on us here because the went with 2-minute intervals instead of 90 seconds, and they were shoot 2-minute intervals because they had a big giant timer, as noted by the announcers, on the entranceway.
That's right.
So they were legitimate 2-minute entrances here for this. The first two men, oh, what a shock, Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky.
Now, what you missed, by the way, I should mention this because it's important. Joey Janela replaced Phoenix in this match. Because on the show Wednesday, Phoenix went for some crazy dive, and he didn't get caught, and he crashed and burned and was killed. And I guess what happened was he showed up, and they said, dude, like, you're really hurting. Why don't you go home, and we'll replace you? And he was fine with that. Now,
I bet so.
This is... No, you don't get it, Vinny. This is Phoenix... So he must have been hurting so bad to be fine with just going home. Because normally
why do you say that?
Because he's hurting all the time. He's constantly injured, constantly in pain, and he always goes out there and does all of his dates. So
no, actually, that's I was on a show that he didn't show up for.
Well,
that's
no showing is something
that.
different, Tom. But
no, actually, that's exactly what you said.
Well,
you
sometimes
said he goes out there and wrestles all of his dates.
Okay, what I mean by that, Tom, is
except the ones he doesn't. Though.
If he makes it to the arena. He's going to wrestle his date. Okay? That's a big difference right there.
Okay.
I know how these Lucha Brothers operate.
There's a short list of people who don't do that.
Well, anyway, the fact was he made it to the arena, and then they told him to go home, and he was cool with that. So anyway, he's hurting bad, but they figure he's going to be back, like, on Wednesday. So that's why he was replaced by Joey Janela here.
Coming back on Wednesday sounds like a very Phoenix thing to do.
Yeah, wrestling this match would have been a Phoenix thing to do.
Yes. So it's Kazarian and Sky, the two guys in SCU, and per the rules of this match, you don't have to wait for everyone to get in to win. So I was screaming for them to just flip a coin and climb the ladder and suddenly get this chip and win, but as the announcers pointed out, no, these are men of honor. They're going to compete. And so for 2 minutes... these two friends in an athletic competition had what had to be the most chain wrestling in any ladder match ever. 10 seconds to go. They finally just bonk heads. Kip Sabian is a third man in. Kip Sabian is no man of honor. So he has not only Penelope Ford helping him, but also his tag team partner Jimmy Havoc. And my biggest takeaway from this match, or at least one of them, Jimmy Havoc's new look with the white suit that appears to be splattered in blood. This is a huge improvement. This is to be a permanent thing for him now.
Dude, what I loved about it was they didn't do any bullshit. It's a ladder match. There's no DQs. And so Kip Sabian comes out. Jimmy Havoc walks right into the ring, and they just start cheating. Right out of the gate.
Yes.
And so they had to kill Jimmy Havoc to basically stop him from cheating, which is what happened.
Exactly.
That's the way this should be done.
Darby Allin was number 4. So as he's running wild, it occurs to me, and we mentioned this on Wednesday's show, or Thursday's show, I guess, but AEW has gotten really, really good at miking the people they have in the stands, and it was even better here.
Yeah, this building sounded like
full.
a show with people in it.
Yeah.
You had Vicky Guerrero was there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Pineapple Pete. Dan Lambert, the owner of American Top Team.
Why not?
Was there.
Excellent.
Yeah, some guy with a killer handlebar mustache.
Dude, that was the Butcher.
It's the Butcher.
What?
Yeah.
The Butcher in street clothes. It's amazing just what, like, a shirt.
Hold on. That was Andy Williams?
That was the Butcher.
Yeah,
The Butcher
That
and
was
the Blade
Andy Williams?
Were out
He
there
looked
in
like
street
he was
clothes.
he looked like Wilford Brimley.
Well,
That's what he looks like, Tom.
dude,
I don't
the
know
most
what else to
bizarre
tell you.
thing is to think that he's actually in like a rock band,
Yeah.
and
He's a
like
successful rock and roll musician.
it's insane. But yes, that was the Butcher.
Who is the Butcher on the side. This man, you look at him and think this guy should be a pro wrestler who plays guitar on weekends, but no, it's
Yeah.
the other way around.
Somebody in the chat said they saw Vitor Belfort, and I kept thinking I saw Vitor Belfort as well, but I'm not quite sure. It could have been one of the Villafort brothers. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. Is Vitor Belfort at ATT?
God only knows
That
where
was
that
him?
guy is right now. I don't know.
Oh, it was Vitor, huh? Well, look at
I don't know if it was Vitor.
So Darby climbs a very tall ladder outside the ring, takes his skateboard, jumps off the ladder, stands on his skateboard in midair, goes through a ladder, plummets to the ground, and grabs his leg. I was certain he had broken his leg. I would have bet $100 he broke his leg right here. Apparently I was wrong. Probably didn't feel good. Orange Cassidy is the fifth man in, and then things take a hard left turn. First, Orange sloths on over to the announce desk and starts to ask them about the rules. To which, a very exasperated Excalibur says, "Tony explained this to you like 200 times." And as Orange is told he has to get a ladder to climb this chip and leaves, Tony says he seems pissed. Tony Schiavone says he seems pissed.
Dude, Orange Cassidy's character is exactly like my real life. You're telling me I got to climb a fucking ladder in this match right here? The only thing would have been better is if he found out he was in a battle royal, and he was just disgusted by having to be in a battle royal.
Yes.
He doesn't want to be in a ladder match. Earlier, they did the interview, and he couldn't believe the ladder was so tall. And my biggest takeaway from this was, I loved everything that Orange Cassidy did in this match. I was laughing my ass off, but
Really?
it's way, 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 way better with the crowd.
Well, sure.
It's like everything we talk about. Like, if you do a technical wrestling match, it's fine with no crowd. If you're doing like a psychological pro wrestling match, you have to have a crowd or it suffers. At Orange Cassidy's comedy, you've got to have a crowd.
Stand-up comedy with no crowd sucks.
That's what this was.
This is
No,
stand-up
the
comedy.
issue with Orange Cassidy tonight, I thought he was largely ineffective in the match because he tried too hard. The comedy didn't come off as natural. He's standing on top of the ladder. Like, come on. That's not something somebody would do nonchalantly or non-caringly. That's caring too much, actually.
Yes, we need to clarify if you missed the show. When Tom says standing on a ladder, the ladder is not set up. It's folded and laying down flat on the ground. He's standing on this and with an extra 4 inches of height trying to reach this chip.
The idea, Tom, is that he's never done any work involving a ladder in his lifetime. I can understand
thanks. I
this
get
being
it.
a real thing.
I can see, Brian, how you connect to this character.
Yes. You have to open the fucking ladder and then go up it? Bullshit.
But you understand that.
I do
You
understand
understand that without having done it. So,
This is a different level of laziness, Tom, that you can't understand as a famed MMA fighter who worked hard to get where you were.
I am. Move on.
And you did.
The only
So-
bullshit I thought was there was a spot later where everyone's trying to pick up this big, heavy poker chip, and fucking Orange Cassidy's helping. I was like, you just killed your gimmick there, buddy. What are you lifting that fucking heavy thing for?
As someone who tore down probably 100 rings while Brian stood up to the side and watched, I can confirm Brian would call this bullshit.
Exactly, because I had people on Twitter going, well, he's pretending to lift. And I'm like, fucker, I was there for Ring Crew 1,000 times. I didn't even go over there and pretend that I was lifting. I just acted like I was helping everybody know what to do. Come on, lifting that poker chip.
So Colt Cabana is number 6, and Colt Cabana has no idea what to make of this Orange Cassidy fella. They're doing a little more comedy. Eventually,
Of all
Orange,
people.
Yes, is dumped out of the ring, and the match just continues. Joey Janela is 7. He just runs in a very out-of-control manner, runs wild for a while. Luchasaurus is 8, and immediately starts to do stuff with Darby Allin, which made me happy because it meant Darby's leg was not shattered in two, as I thought. And finally, the last man in, the Mystery Man. First, we hear Taz's voice asking who can stop the path of Cage. And out comes Brian Cage, the newest member of All Elite Wrestling, who, by the way, the very first thing he did, I forget who he grabbed, but it was one of these smaller men in this match, and he hit Wardlow's F10. Already stealing moves. Hit a bunch of suplexes, because he's teaming with Taz. Somewhere in here, Joey Janela did my new favorite sell-off move ever, where he just shouts a bunch of profanities as loud
Fucking
as he can.
motherfucker!
That was it.
It was off a suplex, I think, by
It was the
Cage.
like a middle rope suplex, yes.
So it was
if
a middle rope inside out from the apron.
Yes.
That's just how he talks.
That's
actually
basically,
is.
yeah.
He may not have even been selling. He may have just remembered something. Yeah. So eventually everyone realizes they cannot stop Cage. They all have to gang up on him. They bury him under a mountain of plunder outside, and here is where they get the big-ass poker chip. Bury him under that. We have Sabian doing stuff with Orange Cassidy. He flips Orange off, so Orange takes the finger, basically uses the finger to throw him through a ladder. Penelope Ford goes up to the ladder. Orange blocks her, punches, and then just lets her go. She falls onto Sabian on the floor. Jimmy Havoc attacks. Now the best friends are out there. Marco Stunt's involved. Just a lot of stuff going on. There's a DVD off the apron onto the giant poker chip on top of Cage. Then this awakes Cage, actually. It was like the Randy Savage elbow that woke up Hulk Hogan in WCW. And Cage pops to his feet, gets to the ring, and runs wild. From a wrestling standpoint, the best part of this match by far was the Brian Cage Luchasaurus battle. That was awesome. It was like 30 seconds.
That was a hoss fight.
It was a damn hoss fight.
Caveman versus dinosaur.
It was, actually. Straight. So, anyway, Cage wins that battle, drops Darby on his head with a screwdriver. This has Taz very excited because, of course, Darby's been rude to Taz lately. And they try some kind of spot in the corner, which they tried it 2 or 3 times. I'm still not sure in the end they achieved what they were trying to do. It involved a ladder and Darby and Cage throwing both of them out of the ring at the same time. And then Cage just climbed up the ladder and won. So they tried something different. The format largely worked. There's a lot of odd comedy in this match for a world title shot. A lot of guys killing themselves. There were long stretches of nothing happening. The work was often sloppy, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there was some sloppiness. There was a spot early on when I guess it was Jimmy Havoc he's doing something with Kazarian, and I don't know what happened, but Jimmy Havoc powerbombed himself onto a ladder bridge. It's just really weird. And there were a few things like that during the match where I couldn't even figure out what they were trying. Just something weird happened. But I would agree with what you said. I thought the match was good. I did not think it was great. I think if there had been a crowd there, people would like it a lot more. And it was certainly fun. I had fun watching the match, but not perfect. It was just a good ladder match opener. Any other thoughts, Tom?
I thought it was just too much. I thought there were too many run-ins. I thought it was overbooked. I didn't like the comedy spots. I thought Marco's stunt, that spot was out of place with Luchasaurus and Orange Cassidy. And I thought Cage he looked awesome, about as good as you can look to try to get somebody over as a monster in one shot. But yeah, you talked about him doing Wardlow's move, but they also have like the same haircut. And
They do, actually.
kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, maybe they'll...
One guy could do a bunch of flips and stuff. And the other
they'll do
guy's
that.
Cage.
So, yeah. We should mention, yes, they did do a fine job of making something out of Cage in one night. He won this match, and I guess in 2 weeks. They say when. He's getting a world title shot now.
Sure.
I guess they didn't say when. Tonight.
I guess he can cash in that chip.
I suppose. We'll find out. Tonight on AEW Double or Nothing. Dustin Rhodes versus Sean Spears, although the announcers are sure to clarify, we have not seen Dustin Rhodes all day. We're not sure he's going to be here. Penelope Ford filling in for Dr. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander. Cody versus Lance Archer in the finals of the TNT Championship Tournament. Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida. No DQ, no count out for the AEW Women's title. John Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The Elite versus the Inner Circle in Stadium Stampede. And up next, MJF versus Jungle Boy.
Now, before we get into this, I thought that the show went a little too long. I think it went like 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say it went way too long.
I would never have a show go more than 3.5 hours. And I would prefer if the show went 3 hours, okay? But what I did like about this show was that for the 3 hours and 40 minutes you got, whether you think it was too long or not, what they did was they gave you action for 3 hours and like 35 minutes. They didn't do a video package before every single match. They didn't do a backstage interview before every single match. Mm-hmm. It wasn't your WWE pattern. It was they would do a match, there would be a winner, there would be a short celebration, and then the ring entrances would start for the next match, and they would go. There was a long delay before the main event, which they didn't need, where they basically recapped the entire show, which I've never understood because I watched the show, and I don't think I need to recap everything on there. And I think some of the matches went a little bit too long, but in general, I did like that it was like boom, 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 match, 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 with few exceptions.
I would counter that, Brian, by saying one of the things I liked about the show was that there were these little pauses in there that gave you room to breathe in between the matches.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a 10-minute pause where you're going to show this long fucking video package that I've seen 85 times on TV. It was a little bit of time to breathe, next match. Let's keep this goddamn show moving.
Well, they kept it moving with MJF versus Jungle Boy. They followed an experimental ladder match with 1,000 run-ins and a bunch of wacky gimmicks and comedy and a new debut, with two guys going out there and having the oldest school wrestling match, maybe of the year.
I describe this as the oldest school match in the history of wrestling between two guys who have been wrestling for a combined 9 years. They did every old school chain wrestling, basic wrestling match gimmick you've ever seen in this match. I thought it was great.
Oh, it's fantastic. As a wrestling match, this is the best thing on the show. I went about 20 minutes. I'm not sure exactly how long, but it used all 20 of those minutes. None of them were wasted. And the story was very, very basic. They wrestled a lot. They chopped each other a lot. Jungle Boy did a bunch of big crazy dives. MJF did like a sliding drop kick to a hot move out of the ring because MJF's not going to be doing wacky dives all over the place. There was MJF worked over Jungle Boy's arm, whereas Jungle Boy was working over MJF's back, and in the end, they were unable to do certain moves because of these injuries. Their body parts were failing them. They began to trade roll-ups, and MJF tried to cheat once by holding the tights. It didn't work. Jungle Boy fought fire with fire. He tried holding the tights. That didn't work either. And then MJF hooked him in something like an O'Connor roll, but also hooking the hands that I had not seen before. But even though he tried to cheat and failed, in the end, Maxwell out-wrestled this young Jungle Boy, pinned him with a clean cradle. He won the wrestling match. He was the better man. I loved this.
I thought it was great. I thought that even though I've said 1,000 times that you need a crowd for a match that's heavy in psychology, for some reason, like this would have been better with a crowd, but it didn't hurt my enjoyment one bit. The one spot I'm sure everybody's talking about is they're battling on the apron.
Oh, God. How did I not mention that?
Yes. Where was it?
Jungle Boy went for a reverse Hurricane Rana and hit a reverse Hurricane Rana as they are standing in the apron.
That's right. He did a reverse Hurricane Rana on the apron to the floor. Now, how many times have we said MJF, both of these guys actually, like, don't get hurt, because if MJF doesn't get hurt, like he's a home run. And here's this dude taking a reverse Hurricane Rana on the fucking apron to the floor. And when I first saw it, I was like, holy shit. Then they showed a replay, and I was like, his head came nowhere near the apron. He just basically had to do a backflip. So they showed like 10 replays, and I'm not sure which replay it was, but one of the replays, I noticed that, in fact, his head did hit the fucking very edge of the apron.
Yes, really hard.
On the way down.
Really hard.
So it actually was at first I thought it was not as dangerous as it sounds, but then I realized it actually was exactly as dangerous as it sounds. Hopefully this guy's alive. I mean, he did the rest of the match and seemed to be fine, but fuck, these guys need to not kill themselves. And that actually goes for everybody in like every promotion, but that was very dangerous. Any thoughts, Tom? Did he fall asleep?
Did we lose Tom?
Huh? What?
What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Hello? What's going on over
there?
there?
There was an awesome springboard DDT by Jungle Boy in there where he started outside on the apron and then like sprung inside. It was like the old school Jody Fleisch style 720 DDT that he hit. And MJF on that Hurricane Rana you were just talking about, myself, my wife, we both shrieked, if you will, when it first happened. But going back and looking, it didn't look like it was too bad. This was a good match. It sucks that the crowd wasn't there. I think they would have been really solidly behind Jungle Boy.
Yes.
And another thing about Jungle Boy is I don't know if I just saw him like a long time ago or even perhaps since you wrestled him, Brian, but he looks like he's put on a fair bit of muscle, I would say, right? His shoulders look bigger, look defined. Definitely makes him a more credible threat than Jungle Boy.
What the fuck were you doing over there, by the way? What's going on? Do I have to monitor you the whole time on your camera?
What are you talking about?
It's too distracting to me to do that.
People in the chat were asking if I fell asleep.
I think you did fall asleep.
Well, there's a reason for that, Tom.
Yeah, because we went to you and it was dead silence, and then you just stumbled yourself awake.
They said that before I did that.
Oh,
Brian.
get out of here! What bullshit?
What are you working yourself into a shoot over
I
there?
think you're working yourself into a shoot, fucker. Hey, I will say one thing about the Jungle Boy.
You already said it.
I got nothing
said
to
at
say.
least one.
So I was so ready to just bully this guy because I saw the videos and he was just so skinny. It's like, man, another Marco stunt. But then when I actually got there, he's bigger in real life than he looks on television. He's one of those guys where television doesn't add 20 pounds. The 20 pounds is added in real life. But he does look like he's in much better shape now. Clearly all that working out during the pandemic here when like every gym is closed.
Hey.
But he's
I'm
in the
better
jungle.
shape.
I've been working out every day.
I have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what
we learned is that gyms are a waste of time.
Well, I think what we learned is like
do
everybody
push-ups and lunges.
Everybody that wants to work out has found a way to work out, even though
Yes.
all the gyms are closed.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I get to watch these two men feud for probably another decade, and that makes me happy. Lance Archer versus Cody in the finals of the TNT Championship Tournament.
Holy smokes. When they showed this TNT title, like, the actual design of the belt is not that bad. It has TNT on it. It's the TNT title. I mean, you could argue that the plate should just be like, dynamite or something, but it's got
a picture of Savio Vega.
something like that. But anyway, I'm looking at it, and it's silver, okay? And I'm like, what in the fuck? What is this? Because I hate the WWE tag team titles. When they had the dimes and the pennies, they're like so fucking atrocious. Like, to me, a belt needs to be made out of fucking gold. And then, of course, I tweet this, and all these geeks on Twitter like, well, the AEW belt is platinum, and somebody sends me a picture of the old NWA TV title, which is also not gold. And I'm like, you think that's going to fucking change my mind because someone else had a silver belt? No, I don't want a fucking silver belt. I want a goddamn gold belt. And the fucking AEW title, it doesn't matter if it's fucking gold. It's got fucking diamonds all over it. It's worth $29,000. I mean, that looks a lot better than this belt here that looks like someone made it out of a tin can. Well, then it turns out, moments later, I'm alerted by Tony Schiavone that as soon as this is all over, they're going to gold plate that fucker. You think anyone on Twitter apologized for their bullshit afterwards? Of course not. So it is going to be a goddamn gold belt. I just wanted to make that abundantly clear.
I just want to say that this belt, as it was presented here, if these plates haven't made of gold, this still would have been a shitty belt.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
It's a big black TNT logo. Now, this is not their fault because the TNT logo was just block letters.
That's the logo.
But the field behind it, Brian, is just a blank, flat circle.
Yeah, it's going to be all solid gold here in a little while.
There'll be some texture.
Solid gold circle.
I promise there'll be some texture or depth to it or something. Right now it's a smooth, flat surface. It is on par, as we speak, with the YWF Championship belt.
Wow.
Now,
No, because the YWF title is at least somewhat golden because it's made of brass.
Vinny, what would be better? Present the solution.
Gold plate it.
That's it?
there were some people who I talked to about this who said they should just not debut the belt tonight if it was not complete. But then you have Mike Tyson now they're doing nothing.
That's like saying you shouldn't run a show because there's no fans.
Yes.
The show must go on, Vinny.
Yes.
What you know what it should be? Like the world title has the planet, right? And it has all the countries on it.
Yes.
Like, shouldn't they have all of the cable providers and streaming services that
No,
because
it's not the cable title, it's the TNT title.
I just explained that.
No.
All of the streaming services that they're on, that TNT is on. All the cable providers. Cox, you could have Cox on there.
We don't need Cox on the belt. Do you understand me? All right, so anyway, this match, Vinny.
Hang on. Not ready yet. Okay.
You idiot.
Oh, I'm the idiot. I'm the moron. Lance Archer versus Cody. So I liked this match.
Oh, Vinny, come on. Before we even get to the match, Lance Archer comes out and he does the spot that Vinny rants about every week, where he just finds some poor bloke and he beats the shit out of him in his ring entrance. But it was worth it, Vinny, this time, because we got a shot of Mike Tyson aghast, but then overjoyed.
Kind of impressed. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, goddamn, it's a big guy. I wish I could have done that in my prime.
Mike Tyson was conflicted about this act of murder he witnessed. Yeah, okay, I will concede, Brian. This time, it worked.
Thank you.
So, they had a match, and the match is a very simple story. Lance Archer was a big, giant, scary monster. He killed Cody virtually bell to bell. Every once in a while, Cody would get brief little hope spots, but they were very ineffective. He would get like a 1 count or hit one move and get cut off. They worked very, very hard. My biggest problem with this is, eventually, actually, before we get to the finish, there's a spot where Lance is running wild, and they have cameras mounted in the ring post, and Lance Archer, I almost said Lance Cassidy, Lance Archer hoists Cody over his head.
Lance Cassidy?
Yes, very different.
As bad as Candice Michelle last week.
I don't know, my brain's
Who the
full.
hell's Lance Cassidy?
One of the Armstrongs had a terrible cowboy gimmick in Superstars in 1992, whichever one it was. So, anyway, Lance Archer launches Cody over the post, over the camera, and the camera is left with a close-up of Lance's seething face as he sneers into it. That was awesome. So, eventually, we have to get the legends involved, by all three of them, Tyson, Jake, and Arn. And Cody hits a DDT right in front of Jake, and Jake is completely outraged. But then Cody turns around, Lance hits a spine buster. He hit Arn Anderson's move. Now Arn's upset. So when Lance goes up top, Jake takes the ref for some reason. This lets Arn trip Lance. There's some very awkward timing in this.
Some very awkward timing on this show. What the fuck's so funny, Filthy?
It was inexplicable. What was Jake doing? His guy's in control. He's beating up Cody. He's got it in. He's doing a move. So Jake decides now's the time to take the ref. Now is the time to distract that referee. It was fucking preposterous.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So his second read.
These are the veterans. These are the guys who've been around the longest. Screwed up the timing on this.
It didn't go well. So his second referee comes out, and in Tony's own words, he's stooging off Arn Anderson, which is what happens. So Arn is ejected, which Mike Tyson thinks is great. Jake is also ejected, and I'm not sure why. I don't know what Jake did.
I think they figured these two guys, like, they're both up to no good.
So then Jake comes out with a snake, and all I can think by now is, okay, I've seen this stuff should have been done 5 minutes into the match so that Cody and Lance could have just had their wrestling match. Instead, Cody and Lance are having a really good match, but it's been a setup for all the tomfoolery with the old guys. Jake brings out the snake. Tyson jumps up, tears his shirt off. Jake wisely backs down, disappears. And Lance tries the blackout again. He had to open the match. He tries to finish with it. Cody escapes, hits a pair of crossroads, and wins. And I like this match. It did go too long, and the stuff with the Legends should have happened in the middle or the beginning, not at the end.
The actual wrestling was good. There was too much, as you say, Vinny, tomfoolery. And what actually irritated me about the tomfoolery was how many... Yes, Tom. How many times have we complained that people interfere all the time and it's never a disqualification? Well, you know what else happens when it's never a disqualification? We don't have a referee coming out to stooge them off. It's like, I guess, I mean, maybe they could have better explained that this is a very prestigious match. It's the first match for the title. We don't want tomfoolery, and so we have to send this guy out to stooge off Arn and
You know that's one word, right?
No, Vinny. It's whatever I want it to be, okay?
It's not Thomas Foolery.
You know what's funny is, fuck it. Since it's late Saturday night, we'll do an after dark deal here, okay? So it's the anniversary of Mount St. Helens.
I didn't sign up for that.
It's the anniversary of Mount St. Helens erupting, okay? So on the radio the other day,
I don't want to hear about you erupting.
There was somebody telling this story about how when Mount St. Helens erupted, there were people that reported seeing the military come in and they picked up some dead Bigfoot and they took him out of there, okay? And so this person's telling this story, and so I'm like, dude, I've been doing this a long time. How the fuck have I never heard this fucking story? So I started Googling and everything like that, and there was this woman that wrote a book that had this story in it, which was written, by the way, in like 2016 or 2015. It's like, that's the first anyone heard about this was 2015 for an eruption in 1980. I'm pretty skeptical of this story. But somebody had tried to use the Freedom of Information Act to find out if the military had taken Bigfoot off Mount St. Helens after the eruption. And there's actually the response from the government, okay? And they're explaining that the military did not take any Bigfoot, but Bigfoot is 2 words. Bigfoot.
That's your story?
Yeah. Bigfoot.
Cool story, bro.
You don't get it, Vinny? You understand I'm tying this back into the match and how you made fun of me for saying tomfoolery as 2 words? If the military can say big-foot, I can say fucking tom-foolery. Where was I?
Who cares?
Well, my point was, like, I didn't like the referee coming out here and stooging a guy off for tomfoolery, okay?
Okay, Brian.
But I like the match.
What's up with this weight belt? Why is this allowed? And furthermore, Cody apparently has a bad back because he wears this weight belt. He did like a long holding gourd buster on a 275-pound guy.
Giants, yes.
Well, I don't know how bad
and then clutched his back, which is already protected by this belt, which should be illegal in the first place. Then later on, he throws on a label lock and he wraps up Archer's face with his own hair, his own dreadlocks, a part of his own body.
Yes.
And he gets the hold broken by Bryce Remsburg. Bryce Remsburg makes him break the hold. So apparently you can bring in a foreign object as part of your outfit and use it to your advantage, but you can't use somebody else's body to twist themselves up?
No, because you're...
Is that what you're telling me?
Tom, you're not allowed to pull the hair.
Hair pulling
He wrapped it around him.
It doesn't matter. He was pulling on the guy's fucking hair. That's not allowed, Tom.
But wearing a weight belt is? Wearing a weight belt is?
Oh, fuck. People
Andre
have
the
worn
Giant
weight
wore one at
belts
WrestleMania
forever.
3.
Fucking Hulk Hogan wore one for years. Cody's favorite match is Hogan versus The Rock. And besides, it's merely decorative, I believe, because he always throws it into the crowd when they have crowds.
Yes, it's a merchandise gimmick.
It's not decorative. It's helping him lift guys.
Does anyone have more to say on this?
Well, I mean, wearing boots helps you from rolling an ankle, but you don't have to wear them. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're butchering the review of this match. I thought it was a good match.
Is anyone listening to the show anymore?
I thought that Cody winning was good. It makes the title seem important. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. But there was too much tomfoolery in this match. I think we've covered it.
We go to Dr. Sampson with an update on Dr. Britt Baker. Dr. Sampson, I'm not making this up, he says she suffered a bone fracture and a ligament tear and a tendon tear. Jesus Christ.
Well, it was a minor tear
He did say minor to all of these, but
of the
God.
LCL.
Yes.
And listen, I don't know anything. Like, she's going to make her announcement on Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure that this is good news. I don't think she's going to be out 9 months. So if she would have completely torn her ACL, which is what they thought, she would have been out forever.
Yeah.
But you know this.
Whoa! That's a
Okay, not
bold
forever,
statement.
Dave.
Year.
I you know what I'm saying here, buddy. I actually had a friend who was in a heel hook, Tom.
Was it Wang?
No.
It sounds like Wang.
It was actually two guys that didn't know what they were doing, and one guy put the
Also
other
sounds
guy
like Wang.
in a heel hook and like just destroyed his knee. And we were like, "Oh man, you're done. It's going to be 9 months, a year." But then it turned out that he had roughly what they said Britt Baker had. He actually had no torn ligaments, but something had broken in there. And so he actually was only out of action for like a few months. Yeah.
So yes, Baker will be on Dynamite this Wednesday to make
Wake
an
up,
announcement
Tom.
on
Come
her
on.
injury. Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander. They had like an average TV match. Statlander made a big comeback and won with a Big Bang Theory. The most interesting thing about this was, well, two things. One, Sabian is out there an hour after the ladder match. He's on 2 crutches with, I think, every part of his body taped up.
Yeah, it was a brutal match.
Great on his part. And yes, here was where I noticed for the first time Vicky Guerrero was shown in the crowd. And JR points out she's there, and before anyone can start any conspiracy theories, he just said, yes, she likes wrestling, she's a fan, she's here to enjoy the show, that's it, don't look for any more explanation. Which, by the way, the fact he had time to talk about all this tells you there wasn't a lot going on in this match.
I thought the match was okay. The one thing that I got out of it was Penelope is still very green, and so she looks like somebody who is so busy trying to remember what's next and where she needs to be that she's not thinking about making everything look real. You know what I'm saying? So everything looks kind of just soft. It doesn't look bad. Like, I've seen people that look bad. It just looks like she's got too many other things on her mind to really think about the actual execution of the pro wrestling moves. What are your thoughts, Tom?
I thought the match was fine. It was pretty short. Statlander almost killed herself on that suicide dive. They need to back the railings up a little bit, I think. Is that where she split her lip? Her lip was
Probably.
busted open as well.
She was flying on that tope, yes. She was running as fast
And I
as she
mean,
could.
that's about it. Big fan of Statlander. She rules.
Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes. So Spears comes out in a suit, and Pineapple Pete is jamming to his song. And Spears does a promo about how he's not dressed to wrestle because he knows Dustin's not here. Dustin's at home, he says, washing his tights. Which is a line that sounds very familiar to me, but I can't remember who said it first. So Dustin's music starts to play, and Spears turns to face the entranceway, which puts his back to the camera. But then he does this slow burn, turn around, and a big grin appears on his face because he's pulled a fast one. He's pulled a rib on all of us by having them play Dustin's music. The other wrestlers in the crowd are calling him an asshole. And Shawn starts to run his mouth when the music begins again. He says, "No, you idiots, I said play it one time." And Brandy comes out on stage, which distracts Spears. And next thing you know, and this actually makes sense in an empty arena show, Dustin Rhodes is suddenly in the ring. Because the music's playing, and there's no one there to warn Spears, turn around, Dustin Rhodes is there. There's no crowd to cheer as Dustin appears out of nowhere. So Dustin's in the ring. He destroys Shawn Spears, strips him down to his socks and underwear, and sometimes less than that. We saw a lot of Shawn Spears in this match. We see that Shawn Spears' underwear has a picture of Tully Blanchard's face on it, and then Dustin hits the spinning suplex and pins him. I don't know why, on a show that was nearly 4 hours long, we needed a comedy squash in the middle of it, but if you're going to do a comedy squash, I guess this was a good one.
I mean, I enjoyed what they did when they were out there, but, I mean, Shawn Spears was like a prelim guy in WWE, and he goes to AEW, and I figured, like, the idea would be, well, we hired him, so let's not have him be, like, a prelim job guy. And he does win every now and then, but I watched this match, and he's doing spots with his ass hanging out. that he takes a bump outside, and he actually pulls his pants further down on the bump so his ass can hang out more. He's got Tully's face on the crotch, which is like your Vince McMahon humor. I was just watching this thing going, how in the world could you ever take Shawn Spears seriously after this match? Maybe that's what he wants his role to be. I find that hard to believe, but man, I was just like, what? That was the match. Any thoughts, Tom?
I'm just gonna read my short review. Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes. Well, Brandy distracted Spears. Dustin appeared. They fought, and Dustin stripped Spears, who beat him up around ringside, then got embarrassed because his underwear had a picture of Tully on his dick, and Dustin hit him with his finisher.
That's factually accurate.
That's what happened, Tom.
Yes.
You made no mistake.
Now, what did you make of this?
Exactly that.
Okay.
That is what I took out of it.
not
What
a lot
more
more
do
to
you
add,
want me to
Brian.
say?
Well, were
what
you
should I take?
entertained? Did you think it sucked?
But yes.
Okay.
Yes to both.
Well, that's a fair review.
Accuracy is my goal here, and I think I nailed it with that.
Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose. My dinner arrived during this match, so I was distracted for a good part of it. It appears that everyone else enjoyed it more than I did, so I owe this a second viewing. I thought it was a good match, but everyone else is going crazy about it. I did note that during the near falls at the end, Shida did an avalanche Falcon Arrow. In the process, she almost dropped Nyla on her own leg. Can we stop dropping Nyla onto legs?
Yeah, we need to
Bad
avoid
things
that.
happen. So she goes to the running knee. It gets blocked once. She hit it a second time, but Nyla kicked out. So Shida retrieved her kendo stick, smashed Nyla Rose in the head of this kendo stick, hit a third running knee, finally got the win. Huge emotional moment, obviously, for Shida there. And I thought it was a pretty average hardcore match with some good near falls and a great finish.
I thought this match was pretty good. I think Hikaru Shida is great. I thought on the scale of Nyla Rose matches, this was one of her better ones.
Yes?
I know some people were upset that she already lost the title, but dude, not everyone needs to have the title for like 10 years. You know, I didn't think that she should have won the title when she won the title. And quite frankly, Hikaru Shida is going to have significantly better matches with everybody on the roster. Shida's good. She's marketable. This was a fun match. I mean, there are things about Nyla. Nyla sometimes does these promos that are just like completely campy and goofy. And in fact, they both did one here on TV a couple of weeks ago. But she does have good delivery sometimes. Like there was a spot where she grabbed Shida and she like slammed her over the barricade onto a poker table, and then she just turns to the camera and goes, "Always bet on black." I was like, that's pretty good right there. But in general, Shida is the superior total package, and I would prefer the title were on her, and we could have a whole bunch of good matches. Yes, Tom.
I'd like to find that whatever Hikaru Shida's ring gear was on Amazon.
I think somebody said it's from Final Fantasy.
Ah, yes. I should have recognized it.
The comment, I can't verify. That's what I saw. But
You mean the game or mine?
You'd follow people
Yes.
who would know, Vinny. So
yes. Yeah. So we go to the announcers, and this honestly is one of the most important parts of the show. They talk about the tragic passing of Hana Kimura and Shad Gaspard and the general shitty state of the planet Earth in 2020. And they talk about how, listen, life sucks sometimes. It has sucked for everyone in this business this past week. We are doing our best to as safe a manner as possible, provide a little entertainment, and try to encourage and enlighten people. And this was moving for a lot of people because they didn't pretend any of this is not going down. They didn't have a hole, their head in a hole in the ground, and not talk about this. They addressed the issue of what life in this year is like and how we're all doing our best to get by. And it meant a lot to a lot of people.
yeah, the announcers should feel like they're your friends.
Yes.
Not like they're just these people that are doing this job
They're not speaking spells.
in an alternate universe,
Yes.
saying shit that like they would never say if they were having lunch with you. That's what people want.
They're believable characters who help you relate to the product and on this particular day make you feel better about life.
Excalibur had seemingly a hard time putting his words together, as I assume most people do in these situations. And like you guys said, it's good that they didn't run from it. If there's anything good that can come out of these situations, it's simple awareness, whether it's a simple awareness for the feelings of others and your own actions, or the awareness that your time is limited on this planet, and a disaster could strike at any moment. So a lot good to see, and good to hear from the announce team.
I mean, when something horrible happens in life, I mean, what would you prefer? Like, some friends come over and it's just like they're all pretending that it didn't actually happen? Or friends coming over and saying, we understand, we're here for you, like we all go through this. That's what these AEW announcers are doing. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to, it's just the way that WWE does things. I don't even want to be too hard on them, but their idea of what will entertain you during a bad period is, we're just going to pretend it's not happening. But the things that they do with no crowd, and you can't watch it and pretend that this isn't happening. You're reminded of it constantly.
Yes.
So if that's the case, it would be better for them to talk to you and say, it's tough for us, it's tough for you, this sucks, we're all in this together, we're all friends, let's just try to have some fun here tonight, which is the exact speech that they gave on this show.
Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW World Title here, which means it was not, in fact, the main event.
Dude, I argued on Observer Live that the world title should always go on last, and I was wrong. No way
That's
this
like
match
yelling into a forest.
should have followed the Stadium Stampede.
That would have been a bad idea.
That would have been a terrible idea.
So, they worked really, really hard. They hit each other really, really hard. They were moving really, really hard. I didn't really get into it. Maybe it's because I at no point have thought Brody Lee had a prayer of a chance of winning this title. There's no universe, and I think that was a possibility. So there was no suspense or drama in it for me. There was a lot of good action, some hardcore stuff. We had a backdrop through a table on one side of the ring. We had a suplex into the big giant folding card gimmick on the other side of the ring. And then the big spot, finally, is Moxley kicks out of a powerbomb. There's a big double down for a while, which was actually the first time the action in the match even slowed down for a little bit. They brawled out on the stage, and Moxley grabs him, does a paradigm shift on the ramp, and they go crashing through the wood, like Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow many years ago. Place goes crazy, doctors run up, refs run up, everyone runs out to make sure they're alive. And Moxley crawls out first and drags himself into the ring. Brody emerges behind him, bleeding, because he went head first through wood. So, of course, he's bleeding. But he's actually in much better shape, despite the blood loss. And the last 1 minute of this match after that point was so awesome. Moxley can barely stand. Brody gets in the ring, goes for the big discus lariat. But Moxley catches it, hits the paradigm shift, and gets just a 1 count, because Brody Lee is so big and scary. So Jon Moxley grabs this fucker, and he goes after this cut like an entire school of piranha. Elbow, 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 elbow. This was intense, unholy beating and brawling you've ever seen. He's just trying to rip this man's head off. He goes after him and after him, after him, after him. Hits the Death Rider this time. This time at least gets 2, but Brody is still kicking out. And so Moxley just grabs his head, and he's going to squeeze this head until it comes off. And he puts him in the sleeper, puts the body scissors on, just like Karrion Kross is doing on NXT. And he squeezes and squeezes and squeezes. Oh, I have offended Tom, I see. But Brody does not give up, but he is eventually defeated. He blacks out. The referee stops the match, and Jon Moxley wins.
I thought this match was really good. They beat the hell out of each other. They had a lot of creative spots. I thought the finish was awesome. The regular DDT kick out of 1, Death Rider kick out of 2, and then he puts him in the choke. And listen, if you're going to beat the cult leader, what better finish? He died for the cause.
That's true.
He didn't give up. He didn't quit. He was not pinned. He was trapped in a hold, and he just faded away.
As he said, he is no god, he is a man.
He is a man. I thought it was a very good match. I thought there was one spot that was a little mistimed where Moxley gave him the backdrop through the table, but it was saved by Brody Lee's bug-eyed selling of it. So I thought this was good. What were your thoughts, Tom? And then I got breaking news.
Oh.
Well, early on, Moxley came out with a bitchin' jacket. I don't remember if Vinny
That's true.
mentioned
That's
that.
true. I did not mention that, but he had fancy ass new ring gear.
Black and gold, the color of a champion. And then JR on commentary mentioned early on that Brody Lee hates sneezing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. There's two styles, guys. Two styles of wrestling I love more than anything else. Fancy mat work and dudes fighting each other. And for the first, I'd say, half of this match, it was 0 of the first and all of the second. There was no laying around. They were just beating the snot out of each other. And then there was a spot, it started slowing down a little bit. Like you mentioned, the finish was wild. But Vinny.
Oh, no.
Vinny.
Oh, no.
You dumbass.
Out of all the people, I'm right here. And you mentioned Karrion Kross using a chokehold.
Your point is incredibly valid, Tom. I don't mean to. I can only say this. I've seen Karrion Kross a lot more lately than I've seen your matches.
Oh,
so, doesn't he use like a? Isn't it the cross jacket?
He called it's a rear naked with where you trap the arm.
Oh, so it's a Taz mission. So it's not even the same move.
No, it's not even a Taz mission. It's a rear naked where you use your top leg to trap the arm.
He scissors the arm instead of the body. So
okay.
it's not exactly the same hold that John Moxley did here. And I'm going to stop talking about it before I get myself in further trouble.
Well, on that note, Vinny, Tom, you were right.
What?
Vitor was there. That was him in the crowd.
That's the breaking news?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Brian, for the breaking news.
Hey,
you're welcome.
More big news. AEW action figures.
Yes. They've got toys.
Yes.
And they look cool. There's the Bucks, and there's Omega, and there's Jericho.
Is there Vitor?
Not yet.
God, Vitor and Mike Tyson were in the same
Shida?
building. They were in the same building at the same time, Tom. Can you imagine if things would have gotten heated? Mike Tyson and Vitor together. Man.
Wow.
That would be a cool fight.
Their age? God, Tyson would kill him.
Probably.
Their age? What are their ages?
Well, Tyson's like 54, and Vitor is probably like my age, but he looks 10 years older.
He's had a much harder 45 years than you have. Or I have.
He sure has.
And then Jim Ross just says, in this exact tone, and now it's time. So
Was it ever?
Was it ever? We are going to talk about this in great
Hold on. I'm sorry. The action figures. I forgot a key detail.
Oh.
They have real dental work. Did I hear that?
What?
What
does that even mean? Britt Baker went through all of their mouths?
I don't know, but I know that they said it.
Huh.
There was like...
Are you sure?
They have
AEW action figures. Dental work.
There was something about the dental work on there, I swear. Maybe I lost my mind.
I didn't catch that line. Sure wasn't detail work?
I'm not sure.
I can't find anything on that reference. All right, stadiums.
I'll try to find more breaking news here.
I gotta watch this Bleacher Report commercial now.
Stadium Stampede, Inner Circle versus Elite. So they are in the football stadium. There's a ring in the middle of the field. They've got the Elite logo in one end zone, the Inner Circle logo in the other. The Jaguars cheerleaders are out there. The mascot's out there. The marching band is out there. It's a big show. We get starting lineups. Now, the Inner Circle actually had jerseys with numbers, and they were all appropriate. And I'm sad the Elite didn't even try to keep up with their end of the gimmick here. So the Inner Circle's numbers were 93 for Sammy Guevara this year he was born. 27 for Chris Jericho. That's the number his dad wore in the NHL. Proud and Powerful had 51 and 50, which is self-explanatory. And Jake Hager, I didn't get the number, but it was his number for Oklahoma Sooners football. And I'm sad the Elite did not also have music. But they come out, and they get the whole stadium entrance, the big giant smoke machine, and they're running out of the tunnel, the music's playing. And the Elite come out.
It was so awesome, those entrances.
They were awesome.
Like, as soon as I saw the entrance, I was like, I don't even care what happens in the match. Like, there's no way this should have gone on before the world title match.
Absolutely.
It's like pageantry. It's like the
Yes.
show ended, and now we're starting a whole nother show right here.
That's actually a very good way to put it. This was a whole nother show. That is
Certainly was.
For sure. So the Elite come out, and there's no Hangman Page. And the Bucks are looking around. Hardy's looking around. Omega tries to assure them it's all going to be okay. And the match begins. And when I say the match begins, they're not even in the ring. The Elite's on this side of the field. The Inner Circle's on this side of the field. And they essentially do a kickoff, and they go charging at each other as fast as they can, and they fight.
The kickoff is them drop kicking each other.
Yes.
They all run at each other, and they crash in the middle, and bodies go flying. Mostly Sammy's.
Sammy's body flew around a lot. So as they're fighting out here, they saw the crowd noise from the arena, which is a very needed step in this. So there's still crowd heat, which, as we noticed, sounded great. As they're fighting out there, Tony Schiavone says, well, to be fair, that is natural turf. And there is an awkward pause. And JR says, what's your point, Tony? Tony says, well, it's not as hard like AstroTurf. And there's another awkward pause, and Excalibur, of all people, says, you want me to take you out there and suplex you, Tony? And Tony said no.
He said home field advantage,
Ah, that's even better
I
then.
believe.
Yeah. So Sammy Guevara whips somebody's ass, and he's celebrating, and he's standing alone in the middle of the field, and he turns to the opposite end of the field, and there's Hangman Page, and more importantly, there is Hangman Page's horse.
I couldn't even believe it. When that horse started charging down that field, I was like, I'm not going to do it. He's going to take his head off with that Larry when he gets to him.
No.
But no, there was more to come.
So Sammy, much like the golf cart, turns and runs in a straight line. Now, horses are far more maneuverable than a golf cart, but still.
Sure.
And I'm laughing at my ass off that the idea Sammy Guevara could outrun a horse. But then Sammy Guevara outran the damn horse. So good for you, Sammy. Well done. He runs into the stadium. He hides somewhere. Page, on his horse, disappears in the stadium, hunting for him. The other...
I will say, Vinny, in like Sammy's defense or Hangman Page's, whatever you want to call it, if the horse would have gone after him onto that change of pavement, the horse would have been in deep shit.
I actually thought about that
slipped,
too.
It would have been big time trouble. So it's not like he necessarily outran the horse in a straight sprint. He like outsmarted Hangman and the horse, kind of.
That horse, yeah.
He
horses-
mildly outsmarted them. I mean, if
Horses-
you really wanted outsmarted, you would have just gotten in the ring. I don't think that horse
in
is
some
going
water.
to leap into that ring.
Stayed in that pool on the upper deck.
Yeah.
God. So the 8 guys left on the field. They get in the ring. They do some stuff for a few minutes.
Oh, wait, let's not gloss over this, Vinny. 80,000 seat stadium.
Yes.
There's one ring,
Yes.
but they're
We all-
wrestlers, and so the ring is like a magnet. They're all
Yes.
sucked to the ring, and they're all in there fucking doing all these high spots. They do the spot where everybody hits a big move on everybody else.
Yep.
Everybody's hitting a finisher on everybody else in the middle of this giant empty building where falls count anywhere. And I loved it because I was mad when they did Money in the Bank and like everyone's brawling to the top of the building. And I thought, okay, well, when they get there, they'll actually do a TLC match. But they didn't. They just like got to the building, then Asuka climbed up and got the thing. And then they did a couple of spots and then Otis caught the thing. So this... They like got in the ring and they did like a match for 5 minutes. And it was a good
Yes.
match.
It sure was. But yes, your point is valid. They had like 30,000 square feet to choose from, and they chose this one 16 by 16 square in the middle. But eventually, Sammy Guevara comes running back. And he's very happy and proud to have fooled Hangman Page and his horse. I'm back, guys, he shouts.
All the cheerleaders are chanting Sammy's name because
Yes,
he's
they
a
were.
Spanish god.
He's a Spanish god. He helps them lay out the Elite. He goes for a shooting star press, but he misses. The Elite make the big comeback. There's a huge train wreck spot. And then, finally, everyone starts to brawl everywhere. The Bucks end up in one end zone. They find a ladder. Matt Jackson, with his bad ribs, scales the ladder, climbs onto the goalposts. Does he field goal off the a moonsault off the goalpost? Actually,
so Matt, as we talked about on Wednesday, he did that one dive when they made their big return, and he like busted his rib, and I guess it's like bruise or something, but he's legitimately taped up because his rib's fucked up. And if you've ever had a fucked up rib, like everything you do hurts. So I guess like Nick was begging him to let Nick do the moonsault off the end zone because he doesn't have a busted rib.
That's a good reason.
And Matt like insisted that he do it. And so he did that spot. He did all of the rolling Germans out on the the rolling Northern Lights on the AstroTurf.
He certainly did.
And keep in mind, like, I don't know the exact amount of time, but this was filmed over like 8 hours. And so, like, these guys had to, you know, it's not like a normal match where you warm up, you go out there, you wrestle, and then you go back and you're done. I mean, it was like a movie set. Mm-hmm. So you had to do a bunch of crazy ass spots. Then you'd sit around for a while while they filmed some other people doing crazy-ass spots. Then you had to go start doing Northern Lights suplexes across the fucking AstroTurf. These guys were so sore the next day.
You think he did the whole 100 yards?
Yeah, of course he did, Tom. What are you talking about? What do you think this is?
Dreamed in a top rope elbow to the cement?
Well, I mean, he did. Just a little bit of creative editing. But anyway, they were all beat up.
Yeah. So inside the bowels of the stadium, Hangman Page is still on his horse, still hunting for Sammy. Keep in mind, Sammy has been filmed several times for several minutes in the ring doing stuff. So at this point, I determined Hangman's already drunk. And
well, he didn't have a monitor.
No sooner should I say that than Jim Ross says, "If I ever get lost, please do not send Hangman Page to look for me." A sound point. So Page gave up, and he went to the bar. The brawl moves out into the concourse. There's the rally zone, is what this section of the stadium is called. It's the end zone. There's a big patio out there where you can watch the game and still get drunk. And they're brawling with Omega and Hardy, and Omega gets salt in the eyes. He gets slammed onto a guardrail. He then gets put through a guardrail. I didn't know guardrails could bend. I certainly hope this was gimmicked.
It was actually very clever because he takes this power bomb from Proud and Powerful through this thing, and they're both standing on, like, you go to a wherever, and they've got that little tiny little thing that you put your drinks on, but it's
a table.
It's a table, but it's got like, it doesn't have 4 legs. It's got like the really just the one skinny leg.
A one-legged table.
Yes.
A bar stool.
So they're both. No, it's not a bar stool, but it's an actual table.
A bar table.
But they're both standing on the bar table. And when they powerbomb him through, all of a sudden, I think it's Ortiz's table. It just starts to tip over. But they just immediately went to the replay because it's a taped show. And if you're going to tape the show, then you may as well take advantage of that. So instead of showing Ortiz fall off the table on the powerbomb, or instead of saying, Omega, he fell off the table, can we powerbomb you through that goddamn guardrail again? They just did very creative editing, and you couldn't see that it happened.
So Omega is out of the picture. Proud and Powerful grab Matt Hardy, and it's time for, I'm sure, Brian's favorite part of the night.
Oh, man, it's never not the greatest.
There's a pool in this football stadium, and they go to throw Matt Hardy into the pool. They succeed, actually, in throwing Matt Hardy into the pool. And Santana jumps in the pool to finish him off, and Ortiz hesitates. And Santana, who's standing in not even hip-deep water, turns around and says, "What are you doing?" Ortiz says, "I can't swim." Santana says, "Stop being a bendejo." So, not even jumping into the pool, Ortiz goes to the ladder and slowly, gingerly, carefully climbs down into the 3 feet of water. They grab Matt, who has been Damascus up to this point, and they attempt to drown him. Now, the pool has one side that is plexiglass. It's clear plastic. You can see inside. And the camera, from that angle, sees Matt Hardy open his eyes, look into the camera, smile, and I think he did the Hardy hand signal, or maybe the V1. I'm not even sure.
It was the V1.
The V1. And Matt Hardy version 1 pops out of the pool, starts laying waste. Actually, even before, I'm getting ahead of myself. He gives the V1 symbol. Then we cut to the outside shot of the pool, where Proud and Powerful are still drowning him, but then a graphic appears. Matter of fact, it says. And Proud and Powerful can see this graphic. And they stop. They're distracted by the matter of facts. And then Matt pops up and beats their ass for a while. And one of the facts, and this is very important, Matt Hardy can hold his breath for 346 seconds. So, they have a big fight. They try to drown him again. But again, Matt can hold his breath for 346 seconds. They go to leave Matt in the pool, but this time broken Matt Hardy appears. He lays waste to all of them.
Because it is a lake of reincarnation.
Yes, that's they planted the water from the Hardy compound in the swimming pool. Ortiz, and the camera didn't get enough of a shot of this. Ortiz somehow in this 3-foot pool got a life ring to try to save himself. But Matt drags him out of the pool. He lays waste to them with a table and a big giant bell and a chair of wheels. Somehow here, Ortiz gets strapped into the chair of wheels with duct tape. He's still moving himself around. And Santana is thrown into an ice chest, which is then locked with a broomstick.
What happened was Matt put Ortiz's head under a bell and rang the bell, which caused poor Ortiz to go into convulsions, and then he was strapped into the wheelchair. And then Matt put Santana in the icebox and told him it would help his inflammation.
We cut to the bar, right? Actually, we cut to the hallway first, where Hager finds the horse, sees the signs for the East Club lobby, figures that Paige must be in the bar. Paige is sitting at the bar, drinking. Hager sits down next to him. Paige pours him a drink and asks him, "You here to drink or you here to fight?" What's the difference? And they start fighting. So there's a pool table there. A pool cue gets busted over Hager. He totally no-sells it. Hangman Page did some Jackie Chan shit, rolling around and evading this big monster for a while, but eventually he was caught and urinagied onto the pool table. And in the spot that I can only imagine was the spot of Hangman Page's dreams, he was thrown onto the bar and slid all the way down, throwing every drink and food and napkin they could find flying. Brian, did you catch Excalibur's Big Lebowski reference?
I did. Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar, it eats you.
And that's the bar 8, Adam Page. But Omega shows up to make the save with a beer bottle, but Hager no-sell that.
No,
so
it's the bubbly. They broke like 10 bottles of bubbly over the guy's head.
They found
It
a
was
case.
four bottles, which was 3 too many. If you ever think a bottle to the head, he wasn't bleeding. I was very upset by this.
It's Shake Hager, dude. He's
Takes
hot.
Yeah, I know.
Takes a lot of bubbly to put Jake Hager down.
Yeah, come on.
Eventually, one of these bottles, they had like a whole case of bubbly. It takes him out. And Hangman does a flip off Omega's back to hit the buckshot lariat and take Hager out of it. Omega has a swig of milk. Hangman has a swig of whiskey. And that's the end of this subplot for a while. So we then go to a bit where we cut back and forth between Matt Jackson fighting with Sammy Guevara and Nick Jackson fighting with Chris Jericho. Matt is in one end zone. He grabs Sammy and begins to do the rolling Northern Light suplexes. We cut to Nick throwing Jericho into the mister. It's for hot weather in Florida when you're playing football games. All it does is spray cool water on you. Jericho screams like the Wicked Witch of the West, which I butchered. They fight a little more. We cut back to Matt Jackson, who's still doing Northern Light suplexes, now about midfield. Back to Jericho. He gets a megaphone. He is screaming at Nick he should have stayed at home. Nick fights back, starts to just peg Jericho in the ass and crotch with footballs. The fans...
Has he ever thrown a football before?
It was not the best form I ever saw.
Oh, my God.
Maybe not as an offensive weapon.
He's ready for the Jaguars, I guess. So,
wow.
oh, come on.
Brutal.
We can all have a good laugh at that one. Come on. So, there's a big... by the way, Tom, the fans in attendance were chanting "perfect spiral," so they were more impressed with Nick's form. There's a big Jaguars head
Threw
there.
like a girl. I say that with all due respect.
There's a big Jaguars head there that Nick goes into. And then Jericho spies the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot, Jackson DeVille.
Funny you should say that after that Undertaker documentary, Tom.
That's true.
What?
Michelle McCool is apparently is
Yeah,
a very
I
good
said with all-
balls.
Got a great
I said with all
spiral.
due respect.
I see.
I guess when you say it throws like a girl, it depends what girl you're talking about. So Jericho,
daughter. She's
probably
3.
a bad thrower of footballs, I would guess. Jericho and Jackson DeVille have a stare down. Jackson DeVille grabs his belly and or crotch. It's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. He shakes them in Jericho's face. And Jericho just lays his ass out with the Judas effect. It's just awesome. It's so great. And every time this fall, whenever Gardner Minshew gets sacked, you're going to get this gif on your timeline with the other team's logo on Jericho's head. I guarantee this is going to happen. So there's a field goal bit where Nick super kicks Jericho into a net, calls for the field goal. Jericho gets a hold of the bat, hits a bat shot, makes a cover. Nick kicks out at 2. Jericho insists, no, I want a replay. He pulls out the red challenge flag. And they go into the review booth.
Aubrey.
Yes, the ref and Jericho go into the review booth. And
Aubrey Edwards.
yes. What did I say?
You didn't say anybody. You just said the ref.
I said, well, that's okay. Thank you.
Yes.
It's Aubrey Edwards. She determines the call on the field stands. The match will continue. Jericho tells her you're a shitty referee, which is probably something you hear in every single NFL game ever at some point. Matt completes his 500 Northern Lights suplexes. He reaches the end zone. He scores a touchdown. He spikes Sammy Guevara's head into the grass. He then begins to dance, doing the Alex Wright celebration. And then I don't know what the other one was. He is flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. He super kicks the referee. I think it was Ross who just says he deserved it for that Alex Wright celebration. So the Bucks then go to double team Jericho. Nick has to run all the way up the stadium steps, then run all the way back down them to do a big giant splash through a table onto him. Paige appears with a line marker that draws the yard lines in the football field.
That was funny, by the way, that big splash, because you see him jump in the air, and then you see him go through the table. And I thought, he probably jumped onto a crash pad, and then they did the Velveteen Dream thing. But then they cut to another shot,
yes.
And in fact, he jumped fucking 10 feet in the air and splashed this guy through the table.
Yes.
What's
And
the
Paige-
Velveteen Dream thing?
He jumped off the post, and
never
yeah.
mind.
Yeah. So Adam Page appears with the line marker that draws the lines in the football field. He draws a line over Jericho's body and his face, in fact. And as Tony Schiavone notes, he went right up the crotch. Now we cut to Sammy Guevara, last seen being suplexed into the end zone and having his head spiked into the turf. He's crawling across the grass like this is Apocalypse Now. As he is crawling,
Basically was for him.
It manages to get himself into perfect position so that when the sprinkler goes off, it hits him in both the face and the balls. As he's selling that, he gets laid out. He sits up with his face right into the spray again. He keeps saying that. But eventually he gets to his feet, looks around. He doesn't see anyone in the inner circle, but he also doesn't see anyone in the elite. He determines he is the last man standing, and he has won. But then an engine begins to rev, and he looks behind him. And yes, Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega have the golf cart again. And they do the exact same shot from the exact same angle with the exact same action, with the added bonus of Bryce Rensburg running as fast as he can, trying to keep up with this golf cart. Now, credit to Sammy. For the second time in this match, he outruns a mounted vehicle of sorts. He outruns the golf cart, reaches the stands, does the Lambo leap up, and just keeps running. They all go up to fight him. There's a platform up there, very convenient. He's able to fight them off. He is trying to choke Matt Hardy to death. I'll kill you, he's screaming. But then there is a new drone. It is Neo 1, which is natural something. I didn't write the whole thing down. But Sammy is distracted by Neo 1. Kenny hits the V trigger. He grabs him atop this giant platform, herks him up on top of the shoulders.
Oh, God. I thought he was going to give him the one-winged angel on that platform.
Yes.
That would have been the end of this poor guy. But instead, literally, it's a 15-foot drop.
Oh, it's more than that.
Maybe
It's a huge
20
drop.
feet.
It's probably 20 feet.
I mean, I looked at that and I thought, you were better off going 20 feet out of that little crash pad down there than taking that on top of that platform.
They had a professional stuntman level big giant windbag with a platform on top of it.
Oh, yes.
But this is still a one-winged angel where you have to lift a guy onto your shoulders, stand on the edge, and flip him over and jump off. That took a lot of balls.
Dude, think about poor Sammy. Like, you're looking upside down at the sky.
Yeah.
You can't see shit. And this guy's jumping. and you fall for a long time.
Long-ass
and you
time.
don't know when the fuck you're going to land. Kenny Omega knows when he's going to land. Sammy just lands when he lands. That was scary. But it was at least
fun.
safe. Yeah, that was a big-ass... It was such a big crash pad that, like, they bounced. Like, you could see it go down and back up again.
Yes. So, Aubrey counts 3 from like 20 feet away, but she couldn't get onto the pad. So, Sammy is pinned. The Elite have won. They all have a big celebration. Kenny gets a Gatorade bath. You can see Hangman and Matt, there's still just a little bit of hurt feelings between the two, but Hangman sticks around this time. And they all celebrate together, and the show ends. The good guys have won. Their friends are all friends. Everyone goes home happy. What a perfect way to end this show.
This was a really, really, really fun match. It was just so... It was wacky, but it wasn't, like, excessively wacky. It was cinematic, but it wasn't excessively cinematic. It was a stadium stampede.
Yes.
That's what they advertised, and that's what they delivered. Legitimately with a stampede, and there were animals there. I mean, this was definitely not false advertising. What did you think of this match, Tom?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a little bit too long. I thought they were actually going to the finish once they started beating up Sammy in the ring. And then that was like the beginning of the
Not even
match.
halfway through, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing is I'm guessing that they don't plan on doing too many more of these in the future because it seems like they pulled out most of the jokes and the humor. When they brought out the line marker, I started thinking, like, what else could they possibly do? You had to know once you saw the mascot that he was getting involved. Maybe you could have, a team member dressed up as a cheerleader and come out and attack somebody. I guess there are other things you could do, but I thought that it went on too long, and they actually pulled out too many of the stops when it came to the football jokes. Hangman as well. I don't want to nitpick, but why didn't Hangman have 4 different horses here for each quarter? Quarter horses? Could
Sure.
have 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good
That was
idea.
as bad as Bigfoot.
So, yeah, this is awesome. I very much love the Stadium Stampede. It was much better than Money in the Bank. The action was better. The comedy was 1,000 times better. The pacing was better. It felt like a better payoff at the end. The show as a whole, I liked it. An easy thumbs up. It was way too long. We didn't need the Dustin Rhodes match. Probably didn't need the Statlander match. But as a whole, I'm happy I watched AEW Double or Nothing.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. Tom, your wrap-up thoughts?
I just want to, one more thing about that main event is at the end, I guess I can 100% agree with Jim Ross' sentiments where he said it was a great spectacle in the realm of professional wrestling. But he also
Amazing
called
choice
it,
of words.
what he also said, he caught himself, but he called it, this wasn't a real normal wrestling match.
Yes. Well, he's right. This is
he's
not a normal
absolutely
wrestling
right.
match.
All I know is this was a horrendously shitty week in a horrendously shitty year. And I guess the best praise that I can give this show is for 3.5 hours, I really did pretty much forget about everything. I just enjoyed the show. I had fun pretty much from start to finish. It wasn't a perfect show, but I had a really fun time watching this show. I enjoyed myself. I loved the main event. I just thought that this was what every wrestling promotion has said they're doing by staying open. They're trying to give you something to forget about what's going on in the world. And I thought AEW did a very good job of that. So 2 thumbs up from me. That's my review. So yeah, everybody, that's it.